What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome back to Warriors Latest. As always, I am your host, Max Arizin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoy the show today, as I do post new Warriors videos daily. Now, after the loss the other day against the Lakers, we now have two more preseason games left. And Seth Curry still hasn't made his preseason debut. And I don't know if this is a like we're holding him out because of injury, but we do know is the fact that he's on an Exhibit 9 deal. He's not likely going to make the regular season roster unless there's some crazy thing happens regarding maybe an injury or a trade offer or something like in that sense. But nothing like that is materialized. I will say though, with Moses Moody missing the rest of the preseason, I think that gives him a little more hope, but he needs to make his debut for the Warriors during preseason ASAP. We got the game versus the Trailblazers and then the game versus the Clippers before the start of the regular season. And I want to see what Seth Curry has because had Seth been a part of that the lineup against the Lakers the other day, I think that comeback that Draymond helped lead at the end of the second half. So, like a little bit at the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, that's when the momentum started. I believe that they would have completed that comeback had Seth been there. Now, mind you, Jimmy and Steph were not playing that game. It was all Draymond and the rest of the bench, Kuminga, all of them, but no Seth Curry. But had they had his 3-point shot, they could have done a lot of damage because Pods he was on his game against the Lakers. So much so that even I was impressed because I wasn't entirely sold on Pods, especially after he made that comment about being the successor to Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. And up to this point, he really hasn't done anything to warrant being the successor. If he's going to be the successor, the Warriors are going to have a rough few years in the post Curry era because he hasn't shown that he's the guy. But Sunday against the Lakers, that was a good first step in the right direction for him. So I do like that, though I am still very concerned about Seth Curry, and I want him to make his debut so he can show what he's got, and maybe the Warriors make a move to free up a roster spot so he can start the season with the team while also cutting a little bit of cash here and there. But on the bright side, and unrelated Curry news, an old diamond in the rough just became available on the free agency market. And I'm speaking specifically of Drew Timme. Now, Timme, he's not a flashy, shiny star that's like, oh my God, he just became a free agent. He never had that potential to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, but he was always a workhorse, a guy who was reliable, could get the job done when you needed to. Now, when he signed with the Nets last year, it was a 2-year deal. A 2-way deal. He did very solid with the Long Island Nets, and then got that call up in March, where I believe he averaged around 11-7 in 13 games. And I will say that is very solid. Like I've been a big advocate for him for a long time. He was, I believe, a super senior and Gonzaga's all-time leading scorer. So he does have the reputation, and from what I've heard, he is a very big team player. Now, the Warriors signing him, he doesn't exactly fit the offense in the sense that he's a guy who can stretch the floor, but he is a guy that can really grab rebounds, put up some putback points, and be a valuable role player for this Warriors team as they go after the title. And plus, with the way that the roster is constructed now, you have Al Horford, you have Quentin Post, you have Draymond. That's pretty much the entirety of the baseline. That's your center and that's your power forward. That's it. Like you could move Kuminga and then do a bit of a smaller lineup, but you can't keep that going. And on top of that, the Warriors need to find ways to at least get a little bit younger moving forward. Now, we think about the starting lineup. The average lineup might be, say, Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Al Horford. Those are guys who are all 30 years old and up. not exactly the best look when you want to come in and just be a force out of the gate while going after an NBA championship. So having a guy like Timmy, who gives you that extra depth and is just the quintessential role player in terms of both ability and mindset, that's a big step in the right direction, and I really want to see the Warriors do that. But until then, we have to focus on the Blazers. Now, this is round two of Warriors Blazers after they had that comeback win last week. Now, that was a great comeback. I loved it, and I do see it happening again. That was a great opportunity for Quentin Post to show what he's got. And I think he has the opportunity again to show the Warriors as well as the rest of the league that he deserves to be a starting center. Now, last game versus the Lakers, he hit 4 threes and 9 tries, I believe, but he wasn't a force in the post. I said post. But again, and by not being a force in the post, that's problematic because you need to body up with those big men. And versus the Lakers, DeAndre Ayton took full advantage of him, and it really showed because it hurt the comeback efforts late in the game, and the Warriors ended up losing. Though, it was without Steph and it was without Jimmy. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But again, with the Blazers, you're going up against a team that has 2 7-footers in both Hanson Yang as well as Donovan Clingan. 2 guys who are starting worthy. Like, all right, I look at the last game. Yes, Yang fouled out. But I believe that it's just sort of a learning curve thing for him coming from the CBA and putting up very strong numbers. And then you're in the NBA where the competition is at a whole different level. And there's going to be that adjustment time. So I understand that, him fouling out. But going up against the likes of Donovan Clingan, a proven winner who's supposed to be part of the next guard for the Portland Trailblazers, it's another big test because he's a physical player too, and you gotta work to move him around. And I want to see Quentin Post put in that work in order to help the Warriors get that win. Now maybe since again it is the Blazers, they go into this game, they get a big lead early on, and they never really relinquish that lead. So I do like that, but it's not a guarantee that something like that will come to fruition. So this game against the Blazers is going to be a good one. I want to see the Warriors finish strong too. We lost the game against the Lakers, round 2. We won game 1 against both the Lakers and the Blazers. Let's finish the preseason strong. Let's finish out going 4-1 and show, like, going into the opening night against the Lakers, just come out with that 4-1 momentum and then beat them handily in their own stadium, because opening night for the Warriors is at the Crypto Arena, or as I still call it, the Staples Center. And a statement win to start off the season there, it's like a domino effect that helps get this team going. So I do want to see that, and I do want to see just the Warriors finish out 4-1 in the preseason. But it starts with the Blazers. But bottom line is the Warriors, with 2 games left, have a lot of decisions to make. Whether it be roster decisions, cutting guys, who's going to get the 2-way contract, finding open spaces maybe for Seth Curry. But with this Moses Moody injury, they have to figure out, do we create another open roster spot, cut a guy so we can bring on Seth Curry full time going into the season. But until he makes his debut, that's always going to be a question mark. So I want to see him make his debut versus the Blazers. And if he has a great outing against the Blazers, to the point where he's hitting 10 or maybe, let's call it 6 to 7 3-pointers, it's going to make the Warriors brass go, maybe we need to make some final roster moves before we start the season, because it's better for us to keep Seth on the roster, not only to keep Steph happy, but to give the team an additional 3-point sniper like Steph is while Moses Moody is out. I don't know how long this calf injury is going to keep him out. But calf injuries, I get the sense, since it just happened, he will maybe miss the first few games of the start of the season, as he's missing the rest of the preseason. So I do think it's going to keep him out. But who do you trade exactly? I'm not entirely sure. But I do think instead of trading somebody, maybe you cut them, find a little extra money to give to give Seth in order for him to go to a full minimum deal for the entirety of the regular season instead of waiting until November to sign him to a prorated deal that fits under the hard cap. So I hope they do that. I hope the Warriors finish strong against both the Blazers and the Clippers, but they need to start with the Blazers and focus on this game. And hopefully Seth Curry will make his debut and just knock the pants off the Blazers in the opening quarter. So it's just a complete blowout all the way. So let's hope that happens. I have a very good feeling in my gut that it will, but we'll find out tonight. Now, that's all we have for Warriors Latest. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed the show today. And if you have any ideas on who the Warriors should cut if Seth makes his debut and has an amazing debut and they decide to keep him, how do they go about it? What players should get cut? Should they get sent down? Or should they get outright traded? Tell me in the comments below, as I love hearing your ideas. And as always, go Dubs.